Good morning, children. Hope all of you are safe and sound at home and working hard as well. This is Sujit sir, your teacher of English. And in today's class, we are going to read a story from your Honeydew book. And the name of the story is The Best Christmas Present in the World by Sir Michael Andrew Bridge Morpurgo, popularly known as Michael Morpurgo. Now my students, Michael Morpurgo was an English poet, author and playwright. Now this is a long story and therefore I have divided the story into three consecutive parts. In today's class, we are going to discuss the first part of the story only. Now before we start reading the story, let us discuss the theme of the story. The story, The Best Christmas Present in the World, mainly focuses on three aspects of human life. The first one of which is friendliness and brotherhood. Yes, my students, Michael Morpurgo has beautifully presented the theme of friendliness and brotherhood in this story. The story is evident of universal brotherhood and friendliness among people irrespective of nationality and community. We also come to know how the soldiers long for peace and harmony, because in reality there is no enmity, there is no rivalry between the soldiers on both the sides. The second aspect that the story focuses on is that political conflicts cannot develop true hostility between the soldiers of the two nations. Yes, it is true that soldiers are compelled to go to the battlefield and fight for their country. But in reality, no soldier wants the battle to continue. The soldiers on both the sides want the battle to come to an end. They all wish to go back home and get reunited with their family members. In this story particularly, we find the Germans fighting against the British, and the soldiers on both the sides have the same anti-war sentiment. And because of this anti-war sentiment, they celebrate the Christmas in the middle of the war. Finally, the third aspect that the author highlights in this story is the constant waiting of Mrs. Jim Macpherson for her husband, Mr. Jim Macpherson, who is an officer in the British Army. Mr. Jim Macpherson never returns back from the battlefield. The same thing we find in case of the family members when a soldier from that family goes to the battlefield. The members of the family also keep on waiting for him to return back. In this story, when Mrs. Jim Macpherson finds that her husband does not return from the battlefield, she keeps his letter only with utmost care in his remembrance. Now we will read the story and I will give you its explanation. I spotted it in a junk shop in Bridport, a roll-top desk. Now I here refers to the narrator of the story. The word spotted in this line means found. By the term junk shop, we mean a shop where second-hand goods are sold. A roll-top desk is a kind of writing desk. The narrator had one day found a roll-top desk or a writing desk in a junk shop, and the shop was in a place called Bridport. The man said it was early 19th century and woke. The shopkeeper who was selling that roll-top desk informed the narrator that it was manufactured in the early 19th century and completely made up of oak. We all know that oak is a valuable timber, and oak made furniture is always very expensive. I had wanted one, but they were far too expensive. The narrator had always been looking for such a kind of writing desk for himself. But every time he visited any shop to buy one, he found it very costly. He could never afford it. He always found the price to be very high. This was in a bad condition, the roll top in several pieces, one leg clumsily mended, scorch marks all down one side. It was going for very little money. Now roll top is a flexible cover which is there on the top of every desk. Several pieces here means the flexible cover on the top of the desk was broken into pieces. Clumsily mended means awkwardly or badly repaired. Scorch marks refer to burn marks, as if some parts of the table appeared burnt. Now this writing desk was not at all in a good condition. It was rather in a poor condition. One of the legs of the table or of the desk was badly repaired. It was having burn marks, and one of the sides of the desk was slightly down. Everything was bad, but there was only one thing good, and that is, it was being sold at a little amount of money which the narrator could afford. I thought I could restore it. Now restore here means to repair, to put it right. He thought he would repair it and make it usable, which he could use. It would be a risk, a challenge, but I had to have it. It was of course a kind of risk for the narrator because he did not know whether it would be of any use to him or not. It was in fact a challenge to him, but the narrator had to accept that challenge. Otherwise, he would have lost the chance of having one such writing desk for himself. I paid the man and brought it back to my workroom at the back of the garage. Then the narrator made the payment to the shopkeeper and brought it to his workroom. Workroom means the room where he could work on it, and his workroom was at the back of his garage. I began work on it on Christmas Eve. Therefore, the narrator started working on that writing desk on the day before the Christmas, that is 24th December. So, he started to repair the writing table on 24th of December. I removed the roll top completely and pulled out the drawers. What did the narrator do then? The narrator then removed the thin flexible cover from the top of the desk and opened the drawers. The veneer had lifted almost everywhere. It looked like water damage to me. Now veneer means a thin sheet of plywood, and water damage refers to the damage caused by water. Now the narrator found that the thin sheet of plywood had come out from almost everywhere. It appeared that the damage was caused by water. Both fire and water had clearly taken their toll on this desk. Now the phrase taken their toll means damaged or destroyed. It was quite clear to the narrator that the entire desk had damages both for fire and for water. The last drawer was stuck fast. Stuck means shut tightly. There were in fact 3 drawers, of which the last one was shut tightly. The narrator was unable to open it. I tried all I could to ease it out gently. The narrator tried as much as he could to make it easy so that he could open it. Still Still, it did not open. In the end, I used brute force. Now, brute force here means maximum force or effort. Finally, the narrator put the hardest of his effort to open it. I struck it sharply with the side of my fist and the drawer flew open to reveal a shallow space underneath, a sacred drawer. When he found that he was unable to open it, he gave a light blow with one side of his fist, and at last he succeeded to open it. Now inside the drawer he found a shallow space. Shallow space means a small space which is not deep enough. It was actually a sacred drawer inside that last drawer. There was something in there. The narrator found something in that sacred drawer. I reached in and took out a small black tin box. Now what was there inside that sacred drawer? It was a small black tin box. Sellotaped to the top of it was a piece of lined note paper and written on it in shaky handwriting. So what did the narrator find then? Or what did the narrator find there? He found that the box was sellotaped, means it was wrapped with sellotape. On the top of that tin box, there was a note written. The note appeared to have been written by a shaky hand, that is trembling hand, as if some old person had written that note. Because old people's hands often tremble while writing. We all know that. Jim's last letter, received January 25, 1915, to be buried with me when the time comes. And what was written on that note paper? It was written, Jim's last letter, received January 25, 1915, to be buried with me when time comes. So what does this mean? This means the one who had written the note wanted the letter to be put into the grave along with her dead body after her death. I knew as I did it that it was wrong of me to open the box, but curiosity got the better of my scruples. Now scruples means a feeling of doubt before performing an action, thinking that it might be wrong to perform. So when you feel something like that, such a kind of feeling is known as scruples. The narrator knew it quite well that it would be against morality to open the envelope and read the content of the letter which belonged to someone else. But he was so curious that he could not but open it. It usually does. And such things always happen, that out of extreme curiosity, we do several things which we should not do. Inside the box, there was an envelope. The address read, Mrs. G. Macpherson, 12 Copper Beeches, Bridport, Dorset. Envelope, as we all know, the paper container in which a letter is put. So inside that small tin box, there was an envelope on which there was an address written over it. It was addressed to Mrs. G. Macpherson, 12 Copper Beeches, Bridport, Dorset. I took out the letter and unfolded it. It was written in pencil and dated at the top December 26, 1914. The narrator then took out the letter and opened it. The letter was written in pencil and the date mentioned on the top was December 26, 1914. So with this we come to the end of the first part of this story. Thank you very much.